So we'll call on Reverend Koyo to give us a 1-minute prayer. We'll be timing you. And thereafter, we'll call on Dr. Yusufa to give us a 1-minute prayer as well. Thank you.
Dear God and Father in heaven, the God of love, the God of peace, the God who became all things that we might be his in Christ Jesus. We are gathered this afternoon and we recognize you as the Prince of Peace. As we talk from the nooks and crannies of the four corners of the world, we pray, God, that you would condition our speech and grant us the grace to go beyond speech to action. And grant, oh God, that there will be realistic influence over the stakeholders of the Mbum community and the Mbororo community, that they would live together as one man. We entrust this session to you and this conference to you and pray that you will lead us in step with the Spirit and in wisdom. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Dr. Yusufa, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. We pray that all what we are going to discuss in this forum is something that is coming from the bottom of our heart. We are going to discuss honestly. We pray that the Almighty Allah should guide us, give us the wisdom and the spirit to be able to reconcile our people in Nongamandun and be able to be the leaders that are going to bring back peace in Nongamandun. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة وجاء سهل خيباتي أني فإني غريب أجوب ضاعت الداني بجاد أهلي فليستجيبوا لي لعلهم يرشدون لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much. So at this time, we begin with our conference, and we'll call on Tashi Nelson Tawe to tell us why we are here. Tashi, you have 2 minutes. Thank you. And if you can go on camera, that will be good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm on camera. I want to salute everybody who is participating in this conference, and I have lots and lots of people whom I respect on this platform. What we're trying to do is to decipher how we got here. How did we get here? And I will be shallow because of the time that is given to me. So we'll look at the problems from 3 perspectives. The historical perspective. We know that the Mbororos and the Mbum have lived together for decades, with initial conflict stemming mainly from farmer-grazer problems. Understandably, migration patterns warranted that patches of land be given by the Mbum funds and chiefs at the time to the Muslims or the Fulanis who had to settle. And so by that means, they were given patches of land on the hills, a little far off, so that they could settle with their families and, of course, raise their cattle. At that time, with the large expanses of land, there was little pressure on the land, so there were fewer people to settle on the land, and therefore there were fewer or no problems. That's a historical perspective. Culturally, the Mbororos have for many decades maintained a distinct cultural identity, including nomadic lifestyle, sorry. Now, this is in sharp contrast with the Mbum, even though in recent times, intermarriages, education, trade, and other activities have brought both communities even closer than ever before. We leave culture at that, and then we look at the socio-political aspect of it. Colonial and post-colonial policies did not help foster cohabitation. The Mbororo community at the time was considered less privileged or a minority, and this has virtually settled in the minds of the people over the years. However, modern urbanization, population growth, and environmental degradation has resulted in limited land resources, and these are some of the factors that have provoked conflicts between communities. Post-independence government policies often favored sedentary agriculture to the detriment of pastoral agriculture, widely practiced by the Mbororos. This didn't encourage cohabitation by the two communities in any way. In the three cases cited, much has been done in recent times to encourage cohabitation by both communities. The central administration and its land policy now does its best not to discriminate, reason for which, even in those areas, members of both communities can own land, can raise cows, can involve themselves in a variety of activities, not exclusive to only one set of people. In some areas within the Mbum land, most of the activities that have in the past led to conflict have been resolved, and the communities now live in peace, even though we know that peace is relative, so it might not be absolute. There are bound to be a few skirmishes here and there, but those are very rare cases and the damage is minimal. But the core of this issue, however, is a certain degree of intolerance heightened by the advent of the crisis we are currently living in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. We won't go into those details. So, but historical, socio-political, and cultural issues related to the problems of both communities in this area have also been neglected for a very long time. Now that we know that these issues are real, we have an obligation to address them squarely. So in my humble opinion, two main issues have brought us this far: the current crisis, which we are living, and the remote topography of this area, including places like Tumbo, Jirong, Ngulu, Sop, Daba, and even Mbo. And these are the qualities that make these areas prone to sporadic attacks by young men and possibly women. Women are not left out. Women who hide behind this the difficulties faced by the people of the local populations to commit their offenses. So, like I said, we know the reality and we must find a solution to this. So I think that that's the reason we're here. That is how we have gotten to this level. That's why we're here, and we're trying to find a solution to this. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Thank you, Tashi Nelson Tawe, for this very brilliant introduction to our conference proper. The next point is supposed to be a prelude, but this seems to have been a prelude already, so I have basically nothing to say, apart from the fact that we are not getting into scraping wounds. We're not getting into talking about what had happened. All those on this platform and many others know the skirmishes, know the upheavals that have been happening in some areas of the Ngomantun division. What we are about to do today is looking for all means and ways, putting hands in gloves, hands together to look for solutions, to look for durable and sustainable peace solutions. And that is the essence as well of this conference. I will go ahead to introduce to you members of the anchor crew. We have the lead crew member, or the lead crew, who is Dr. Yengi Lilian. She's Mangiri, we call her absolutely. We have a co who is Musa Comfort and my humble self. But there is also Tawe Nelson, who is part of the anchor crew. There is also Madam Caleb, Laura Sonju, who is part of our crew. And so we believe that this is going to be the beginning of the peace process. And at this time, I will hand the microphone or the floor to the lead crew to carry on with the conference proper and the presentations. Dr. Yengi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Brother Peter. Greetings to everybody. Again, I welcome all the members of the panel. We've had a few meetings over the couple of months to discuss today. As we all know, and as the prelude has said, this is a problem that has maybe perceived to be in existence since the two communities lived together. This platform is not here to try to resolve the age-old problems. This platform is very solutions and peace-oriented. And while we may not have all the solutions, while we may not know all the root causes of all the problems, it is always geared towards finding solutions. We attempt to use our history to guide us into how we seek solutions for the future. We don't try to point fingers or to pin blame on any one person. It is to acknowledge that we know our history so that it can guide us in where we go. None of us are policymakers. We're not executive. We're not judiciary. We're not legislators. We're just members of the community that feel that we need to do something, that we cannot sit in our own echo chambers and talk amongst ourselves. We need to talk across the aisle so that we can maybe see beyond what we see within our own walls. So this is really an initiative that we hope that we would come together as the communities that are living through all of this to find solutions that would help us. We're not sugarcoating anything. We're not sweeping anything under the carpet. We are trying to look for things that would push us forward from here. So I would plead with anybody who is speaking, either on the panel or in our the participants today, to come on with that premise that this is a peace and solutions-oriented platform. We're not here to solve every problem, but we want to start the conversation. So with that, I will welcome Dr. Richard Ndii, who would be the first speaker who would talk maybe on the historical perspective.
Thank you so much. Just before we get to Dr. Richard Ndii, I would like to give a brief down of who we will be respecting in terms of presentation. Yes, okay. Dr. Richard Ndii holds a PhD in history, and in a professional lane, he is conflict management and mediator expert. He has an extensive national and international experience training conflict parties, stakeholders, and mediates community conflicts. Presently, Dr. Richard Ndii is a data analyst with Middlesex Opportunity Council in Framingham, Massachusetts. I'll just go ahead as well to introduce to us the rest of the speakers. So we do have El Haj Alidu Manu. He is the President Director General of a company, La Société Amana Cameroun Sal, and he's also Boskuda Center Regional President. We will get him on board very soon. He's the President of Cameroon Pilgrimage Convey to Saudi Arabia. We also have Dr. Adamu Yusufa from Moasab Division. Dr. Adamu Yusufa is the HOD, Head of Department English Law, Faculty of Law and Political Science, University of Garoua. Also, as speaker, we have El Haj Abubakar Hamdu Bauro. El Haj Abubakar Hamdu Bauro is a graduate in Business Administration and Management from the Federal Polytechnic Mubi in Nigeria, Adamawa State. He is a graduate in Sociology and Islamic Studies from the Institute of Legal Studies in Yola, Nigeria. In Buskuka, that is Mbororo Cultural Development Association, El Haj Abubakar is the education coordinator, agro-pastoral coordinator in the Northwest chapter, and lead person in the same capacity at the national level, so to say. El Haj Abubakar works with the United Nations High Commission for Refugee East Region and is the national coordinator of Laimaru Network for minority-led organizations for Cameroon. He's also a humanitarian and a peace builder. Welcome again, El Haj Abubakar Hamdu Bauro. Now we have Dr. Budi Raymond Jinti, and he is a Wissenschaftler and postdoctoral research fellow at the University of Kassel in Germany. He's passionate about historical research, writing, and teaching. He is a sitting president of Global Research Association, and his current study is based on indigenous agency and collective memory of trauma in the colonial context. Welcome, Dr. Budi. We have Professor Mushin Willie Tamfu, who is an associate professor in social sciences, University of Gaounderi. He's done a lot of research around this topic on the Mbum people as well. Professor Mushin is a documentalist who has written New Horizon that has to do with farmer-grazer conflicts in the Adamawa region. Then we also have one of our speakers, Mfomi William Genge. I may just have to summarize because the biodata is extremely rich. However, he's a jurist, publicist, anthropologist, educationist, and development consultant, human rights and conflict management expert. He is at local, national, and international level. He's published several journals such as Academia ResearchGate and the United Nations Research Institute for Social Development. You want me to continue? Yeah. He's also worked as United Nations Non-Governmental Liaison Officer in 1994 and joined ECOSOC in 1997. Let me put a bit more at this time and hand back the microphone to Dr. Yengi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother P. So now I would call on Dr. Ndi to take the microphone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yengi Lillian, for giving me the microphone. I know I've been given 8 minutes. I want you to be strict about it. When I'm a minute to go, you can let me know so that I finish up and round up. So thank you. I have been asked to talk generally about peace. I want to talk specifics, but since I've been asked to talk, generally, I would go generally. And I would say living peacefully with others is a fundamental aspiration for many, as it paves the way for fulfilling relationships, strong communities, and a harmonious world. For the Mbororo and the Mbum ethnic communities to coexist peacefully on the Nkambi Plateau, they have to be deliberate. Peace is not static. You cannot achieve peace and it stays forever. It is a constant search and requires continuous efforts by the two parties that are involved. This is because conflict is natural and cannot be avoided. To have peace, we must resolve the conflicts that we have with others, with ourselves, with our God, and with our environment. Peace is never given to a people. The people work for their peace by resolving the conflicts they face in their daily lives. If they allow these conflicts to continue without solving them, the conflict situation will degenerate into violence with huge consequences on them. So what do we have to do in order to live in peace with each other, especially for those who live on the Nkambi Plateau? One of the things that is important to living in peace is cultivating a spirit of empathy. Empathy is the cornerstone of peaceful coexistence. To truly understand and connect with others, we must cultivate empathy. This involves listening actively and with an open heart, attempting to see situations from another person's perspective, acknowledging and validating the feelings and experiences of other people. And the empathy not only builds bridges, but also fosters a deep sense of connection and understanding. We also need to be able to communicate effectively. And that means we have to be clear and respectful in communication. And to communicate effectively, we need to practice active listening, which involves paying attention to any person who's speaking to us. Using statements like the I statements, which express your feelings, that is, statements that would express how you feel about something and what you are needing. Be able to come out with what you are needing so that it can be resolved. You need to choose words carefully to avoid misunderstanding and conflict. And so effective communication is a powerful tool in resolving disagreements and building strong relationships. Another attribute which I think is important generally is patience. Patience is a virtue that can greatly contribute to peace building or peaceful coexistence. When you encounter differences or conflicts, you can practice patience by taking a step back to avoid reacting impulsively, allowing others the time and space to express themselves, then remaining calm and composed in challenging situations. Patience helps to diffuse tense moments and allows for constructive dialogue between people. So it's extremely important. We also should be able to resolve conflicts that we face. Like I said earlier, conflicts are a natural part of any relationship. The key is how we handle them. Constructive conflict resolution involves identifying the underlying issues rather than fixing on-surface disagreements, seeking common ground and mutually acceptable solutions, understanding that compromise may be necessary for a peaceful resolution. So conflicts can be an opportunity for growth. So it's not necessary, I mean, we should always take conflict as an opportunity to explore other options that can be open to us and can build our relationships. We should also be able to embrace diversity. Our world is diverse, and embracing that diversity is crucial for peaceful coexistence. To do so, we need to acknowledge and appreciate the differences in cultures, beliefs, and backgrounds. We need to educate ourselves about other cultures and their perspectives. And we need to be open to learn from others. So embracing diversity enriches our lives and promotes unity within our global community. We also need to foster forgiveness. Forgiveness is a powerful tool for living peacefully with others. It involves letting go of grudges and resentments, understanding and holding on the
Okay. I will read. Yes.
Are we on?
Yes, go ahead, please.
So I was talking about forgiveness. I was saying that forgiveness is a powerful tool for living peacefully with others, and it involves letting go of grudges and resentments, understanding that holding on to anger only perpetuates negativity, moving forward with a sense of healing and closure. Forgiveness not only frees the individuals, but also mends relationships and promotes harmony. We also need to be able to set our boundaries. Maintaining healthy boundaries is essential for peaceful living. And setting boundaries involves clearly communicating your needs and the limits and your limits to others, respecting the boundaries of others, and ensuring a balanced give and take in relationships. Healthy boundaries would create a sense of safety and respect within a relationship. We need to
you have 1 more minute.
Kindness. Kindness is a simple yet powerful way to foster harmony in our interactions. Acts of kindness can include offering a helping hand when someone is in need, expressing gratitude and appreciation, and spreading positivity through small, thoughtful gestures. Kindness ripples through communities and encourages a culture of goodwill.
Doctor, did you hear your time warning? 1 more minute?
Okay, fine. This trust building Trust building is the foundation of all healthy relationships. To build trust, be reliable and follow through your commitments. Be honest and transparent in your interactions. Avoid betraying the trust of others through gossip and dishonesty. And building and maintaining trust is essential for peaceful coexistence. And what do we get when we live in peace? We have healthier relations. There is stress reduction. We build community. We are able to resolve our conflicts. And we can build into a global peace. And so to conclude, the art of living peacefully with others involves developing skills like effective communication, conflict resolution, and patience, along with embracing diversity and promoting acts of kindness. The path to peaceful coexistence is a shared endeavor, one that begins with each individual's commitment to understanding, empathy, and the profound impact of harmonious existence. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Nde. Appreciate that. Now the mic is Dr. Yusufa Kafoy. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much.
The mic is yours. Dr. Yusufa.
Yeah, thank you so much, the host. I'm going to discuss on peace building on the coexistence between the Mbororo people and the Mbum community in Dongamanton division. I'm going to look at the background, then some way forward and some characteristics of good peace builder. So we know the Mbororo people are the Mbum people have lived in Dongamanton for decades without any major conflict, but for minor misunderstanding between individuals or farmer-grazier conflicts that were even considered as routine in some areas. Such conflicts were always resolved using conventional amicable means between parties by traditional authorities or referred to government authorities who propose solutions to resolve such conflict. They have lived as families, speak Fulfulde and Mbum languages, practice both agriculture and grazing together, jointly carry out economic activities like driving transport cars, bike riding, importation of goods from Nigeria, cattle trading, operating provision stores. They have been organizing socio-cultural activities like football competition, cultural festival, development activities like road construction, intertribal marriages, as well as exchange of names. For example, today we have one of the first Mbororo professor in Cameroon, Professor Ibrahim Manu Fomi. Fomi is a Mbum name that was given to him. On the other hand, some Mbororo people were also appointed as leaders, as members of the chieftaincy in some traditional council where they work permanently and assisted in resolution of conflict. We also have Mbum people who were also designated as Ardo and appointed by the community to be Ardos who are Jangalita collectors. For example, we have Mr. Let Sanwe Nji in Kambe, who was the Ardo of Njema. Throughout Dongamanton, we know the children of Dongamanton, they went to school together. They studied together. They left in the same room together. They sat on the same bench. They slept in the same house and they ate in the same dish. But today, with the advent of the crises that are coming up, you know, the trend of things have changed. It is changing now to the negative. With the advent of those boys who call themselves the separatists, all those who do not share their views were considered as enemies and can be executed at any time. All influential people, such as businessmen, political authorities, government authorities, and even opinion leaders were targeted. They were either killed by some Amber boys or they were captured and then executed at the end of the day or asked for huge ransom to be taken from them. So those areas where farmer-grazier conflict were not properly handled, some of these cases were sent to these guys and, you know, it became a conflict-prone areas. We should remember that our ancestors were on this Ndongamanto land. We were all born on this land. We grew and settled on this land, and we will all die and be buried on this land. Therefore, peace is an absolute necessity. Therefore, from this background and what we have seen, what are the way forward? What can we do to rebuild back peace and coexistence in Ndongamanto? Firstly, we need to identify and involve all stakeholders, such as traditional authorities, administrative authorities, religious leaders, civil society organizations, trade union leaders like the Achaba Union, Drivers Union, and all influential elites. We need to bring all of them together. Secondly, we need to identify and map out conflict hot zone in the division. Thirdly, we need to set up mixed, honest, recognized, and dynamic vigilant committee groups. We need to also set up conflict resolution committees. Pastors, imams, leaders of civil society organizations, and all other opinion holders should be bearer of peace. We should also recognize and respect the rights of everyone as active citizens of this country and avoid some negative or marginalization statements such as "we are native, you are strangers." Identify all the young men involved in this atrocity and call them back home. Revamp all school activities around the villages and ensure that schools are effective. Collaborate with state authorities to set up military camps in conflict hot zone and on borders in order to cut down importation of arms, drugs, and intruders from Nigeria or other neighboring divisions. Since all criminal offenses are personal, we must avoid to attack a whole community to an offense committed by an individual. Avoid publication of false and unverified information on social media, and caution certain radio and television programs, especially those using pidgin English, to foil intertribal conflicts or antagonize our communities. Encourage mixed agro-pastoral activities such as Mbororo people can engaging into farming activities, though it is existing already. We need to encourage that. And Mbum people should also buy and keep cows. Initiate mixed income generating activities involving both communities. For example, we can have Njangi activities at the level of the Ardore. We can also have Njangi activities at the level of the palace, where people are obliged to meet all the time. From there, we can be able to build back confidence. We should also transcribe all our peace messages into various languages. What we are saying in English should be said in Mbum, should be said in Fulfulde, and should be said in any other language that is spoken within the division. What are therefore the characteristics of the people who are going to lead this peace process? Because this peace process is going to be handled by special people, it's not for everybody. Therefore, we need some special characteristics that these people should put before their mind in order to handle this. They must respect people's rights, religious, property, ethnic group, and their leaders. The peace builder must be sincere, neutral, without taking side. They must be good listeners and demonstrate a sense of understanding. They must be willing to find solutions to problems that are laid before them. They must be able to practice confidentiality. Peace builders are not people who are going to make noise in bars, make noise in all areas, in social media, and so on. They must be able to have some sort of confidentiality so that people can share their difficulty with them and they will see how to handle them. They must be able to manage anger. You know, when you are a peace builder and you are always angry, at the end of the day, you cannot solve the problem. They must be able to put aside financial interests. We are all on this forum.
You have 2 more minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, I will not even get to the 2 minutes. I will finish very soon. Yes. Peace builders are people who are going to put aside all financial interests and then put their mind in resolving this conflict. Maybe the host, for now, since I have another presentation, I will end at this point. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much. I just another note to the the audience, if you have any questions, can you please type them in the chat, because at the end of the presentations, we're going to have a Q&A, and we may start with questions that have already been entered in the chat. But if you rather prefer to ask your question when they're finished speaking, that's fine too. But if you want to, you can put questions in the chat. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yusufa. And now we're going to call on El Haj Halidou Manu. That is your turn. You have the mic. Thank you. Professor Manu, are you on?
Yeah, I think El Haj Alidu is just preparing to come on board. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's around. Yeah.
I'm not seeing it on the list of
Hello?
Yes.
those who are on the
El Haj
call. I
Alidu.
can't see his
Yeah.
name. Okay.
Can we? Perfect.
Go
Right.
ahead.
We can see you. Over to you, El Haj Alidu.
Okay. Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, are you listening to me?
Yes, we
Is it
can. We
okay?
can see him. Yeah.
Okay. I'm very happy to be in this forum. For my presentation is a reconciliation strategy on Longa Mantum Division. An introduction by Mr. Alaji Halidou Manu. The present crisis in the Northwest in general and Longa Mantum in particular is not caused by the people of this division, but unfortunately we became victim. It is our place to come out with strategy to reconcile ourselves and restore the peace we inherited and love. The following proposed strategy can help us to regain peace and tranquility, live in harmony, resolve our differences by ourselves and for ourselves. One, we all belong to the division, so the crisis cannot make us relocate to another place. So it is very important to identify our differences and resolve it by ourselves without a third party. We should identify all stakeholders involved, and each of them should bring up their reconciliatory suggestion so that it can be harmonized and put to practice. Those stakeholders include the Mbum and Mbororo community, traditional authorities, development association, youth association, the elite and the political class, as well as the municipal council. Number 3, during reconciliation exercises, we should be able to respect people's ideas, custom and tradition, as well as mutual understanding and respect for one another. Number 4, avoid transfer of
About 5.
Yeah, I'll stay on number 4. Avoid transfer of aggression of the farmer-grazer dispute, which are generally resolved amicable. Farmer-grazer conflict. Farmer-grazer is not the cause of the present violence that we are witness, which include cattle theft from both communities, destruction of our homes, killing and kidnapping for ransom. Number 5, sensitize both communities on the real need of peaceful coexistence. Through the promotion of inclusive participation of cultural events, such as annual General Assembly of Cultural Association and annual Sadla Festival. Number 6, encourage participation in all development activity in the entire village, such as small and medium business enterprise. Participation in the construction of road, bridge, school, health facility, etc., etc. Number 7, promote the establishment of alliance farming, which has benefit to both cropper and grazer. This action was practiced by some community monitored by Mbuskoda, and it had very fruitful result. Number 8, promote the inclusive of traditional authority where local decisions are made to show that the traditional authority are more respected, acceptable, and can lobby to influence and other decision-making corridor towards their need. Number 9, identify key perpetrator, internal and external, and came out with a reconciliatory plan. In conclusion, dear audience, without peace, there is no development, no education, no adequate health facility, no progresses, and no peace of mind. I therefore call all of us to play his or her role towards making Ndonga Mantum the most peaceful land ever. Thank you so much. Good evening to everyone.
Thank you so much, Alhaji. Alhaj. I think I got it right. Okay, the next speaker is Dr. Raymond Budi. You have the mic, please.
Thank you very much, Mangiri. I will not use part of my time to greet. Neither would I use it to revisit the beautiful history that Taishe Tawe has already traced. Thank you very much for using your time to do part of my work. Just to say that Mbum, who had already settled on the Nkambe Plateau by the 1600s, that was with the arrival of Tankland, which was the last of the Mbum groups to arrive in Nkambe Plateau, began to share that geographical space with the Mbororo since the 1920s. Of course, the Mbororo came in later and joined them, and they began sharing that space. Their interactions have evolved from mere settlement through coexistence, and now there exists very palpable evidence of integration between the two groups. Of course, we have those examples that Dr. Yusuf has highlighted. The advanced level of integration between these two groups should not, however, be mistaken for the absence of differences. There still exist differences.
Careful, Bobby.
Both communities, however, must get to a point of understanding that our civilization is a state of coexistence and does not result from everyone believing in the same thing, but of people agreeing to refrain from initiating violence, even against people who do not believe the same things. And also that the only alternative to coexistence is co-destruction. If we choose not to agree, we choose not to understand each other, if we choose not to seek peace deliberately, we have the Nkambe Plateau to destroy. We can destroy ourselves on it, no problem. The Mbum, like the Mbororo, therefore have this duty, that the differences that exist, that the unfortunate incidents that occur between them should first and foremost be regarded as criminal, and that the two communities must necessarily join hands to root out what seeks to destroy their coexistence on the Nkambe Plateau. The Mbororo, like the Mbum community, must be able to work hands in glove to root out anything
Sorry about that, doctor. Please unmute. I wanted to unmute a speaker, then I inadvertently unmuted you. Sorry about that. Please unmute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Whether you're taking examples from the Sino-Indian relations, or whether from the Koreas to the Israeli and Palestinians, and so on, even right back in the Bamenda grasslands between the Bali and the Bawak, the Chomba, the Pinyin, the Mbum and Mbororo on the Nkambe Plateau, peaceful existence is something that does not descend on people like the Holy Spirit. It is deliberately worked for. It is cultivated. It is an attitude. It is built block by block. We don't pay for it only, we work for it. And so these two communities must initiate continuous dialogue. Somewhere I said that the two communities have lived together for so long, but they have not been talking. They are fruits of integration, but they have not been discussing deliberately about their living on the Nkambe Plateau. They speak and share languages, they share a geographical space, they share cultural values, but they are not talking. And so discussions must begin between these two communities. The funds and the ARDOs must begin to talk. The sociocultural groups, Mboskuda and Wikuda, must begin to talk. And even the clan associations, the village associations of the Mbum, and other sociocultural associations of the Mbororos that exist in the Nkambe Plateau must initiate discussions at those levels. And those discussions should be continuous. There must be constant consultations. The major issue between these two communities is the absence of communication and, of course, consultation. When it happens, when there is an attack on the coexistence between the people, what do they do? Do they resort to social media and begin to insult each other? They should come to a point where they rather call one another and sit together and begin to talk and continue the discussion. And of course, they should set up common Mbororo initiatives that can help them to continue to work together. Of course, the earlier speakers highlighted some of them, like Njangi activities, like cultural festivals and all of that. We need this because we have this space to either use it to coexist or to destroy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bude. You actually did not finish your time and caught me off guard. That's what I like. Thank you. I appreciate that. Still waiting for you to exhaust your 10 minutes.
8 minutes. Thank you.
8 minutes. Oh, I just gave him 10, so I guess I like him.
So he was watching his time. It's okay.
Professor Mushing, the mic is yours now. Oh, before you speak, we've also had a request, Dr. Peter, that we would like to have transcripts of the presentations that are made by the speakers. That's assuming they've written them. Some of the audiences might want to have access to them. Is that something that you have? Do you have those scripts? Maybe we can request them.
I think we can have them at the end of the conference.
Presentation.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So, Professor Mushing, the floor is yours. Professor Mushing, are you still on? You're muted. Can you unmute yourself, please?
See.
Yeah, we can hear
All
you.
right. Good. Once more, I just want to thank you for the honorable members of this panel. Thank you very much, Mangiri. And I wish to thank all the previous speakers who have actually done a good job. My presentation is going to bother on social interaction, which Dr. Budi has been talking about. You know, social interaction is one of the greatest ways to waver down tension. When you interact with someone positively, it is very difficult to do harm to that person. And I think many previous speakers have talked about dialoguing. Peace is a constant search, said Dr. Richard D. And this peace can only be sought when people interact among themselves. We want to think that the level of interaction between the Mbums and the Mbororos is not enough. And one way to do this is to bridge the gap. Bridging the gap is building bridges. Building bridges is bringing both people closer and closer to each other. Sometimes if we complain about inadequate or ineffective communication, it's because when we find out that on the Cambe Plateau, our brothers, on the Cambe Plateau, our brothers are more or less spend a lot of time on the hills, if we can put it on this way. Sure, it's grazing land, but how can we bridge the gap? I think it is important for this to take place. And then I would want us to understand the concept of community. In the word community, we have unity. So we need to pay more attention on the aspect of unity than the aspect of that, because unity means common unity. So how can we actually embrace social interaction? It is only when both parties understand this concept of common unity. With common unity, of course, we're going to avoid the hate speech which El-Haj Alidu mentioned. We're going to avoid thinking that some people came after the other. Sure, it's a historical fact, but today, history is a recollection of past events. We are talking about what's going on today. And so we must pay more attention of what is going on now and what is going to happen in the near future. So it is very important when we begin to
This guy just sent me a quotation for something. I wanted to open it. How do I open it? He just sent it.
Can you please mute yourself? Jaberu, can you mute? Go ahead, Prof.
Thank you. So I was saying that the concept of community is common unity. And we must look at those factors that enhances this common unity. One of those factors is not looking at some people as natives and others as strangers, as somebody mentioned. I think it's Alaji Alidu. But the ability for us to see ourselves having common goals, talking about common goals, looking at how is it possible for us to have the same kind of perception? Because once a people have divergent perception, then they are not moving towards the same direction. But we must be able to promote how can we have the same perception of life. I'm trying to stress on the same perception of life because it is this factor that is capable of bringing about an acute and better organization and participation in both social and cultural activities. Whenever these are organized, then of course, when we have the same perception of life, it's true, you're going to tell me people can't have the same perception of life, but we are talking of common perception, common goals. What are the common goals that we have as people occupying the Cambe Plateau? One of the issues to have a common perception is acknowledging and accepting the importance of beliefs, of practices. It is, we must accept that inasmuch as each individual may have his own perception, but we have a common goal to achieve. We have a common thing to do. And when we have this, of course, differences are going to be minimized. Differences are not going to actually exist because we are there to promote human values. You know, at the center of everything is the human values. If we are crying today,
Professor Mushin, you have 2 more minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to be through by that. If actually we have this session, it's because we have put human values a little bit aside rather than promoting who is the person. As a result of that, I propose that we need to valorize the potentials that exist to both communities on this Cambe Plateau. To promote and valorize these potentials, we must be developmentally oriented. We must be able to tap from each community and to see how we can deliberately work out. How can the Cambe Plateau be a world producer of cattle? It is possible. How can the Cambe Plateau be a supplier of beans and corn and vegetable? These are all common perspectives that we need to look at. Rather than fighting each other, let's develop together these God-given natural resources of the soil, of the climate that we have, and produce more. The more we produce, learning from each one and the other, then we are all partners in this development. So I want to say that we need to share our varying knowledge and experiences in order to forge ahead. And of course, this is going to minimize the conflicts that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you. Mr. William Genge, for me, William Genge, are you on?
Thank you, Mangiri. Thank you, my coordinator. Thank you, wonderful panelists. I'm very impressed with everything that has already been said. Now I'm just going to do a practical presentation of some of what we've been saying, how most of these things on the ground can possibly be carried out.
We know that. Camera, please, we're not seeing you on camera.
The network might be poor, and it will be worse if he puts the video on. Maybe.
Try to see. We were seeing him on video just bore the start, but I'm not sure.
Well, why don't you try your video? If you're cutting out, then you can go off.
Yeah.
Can you still hear us? Mr. Ngege, if you can't get on camera, that's okay. Right? Okay, so it could be that the network is poor.
Yeah, that's right.
Please go ahead if you can, if you're still on. Maybe we've lost him and trying to see his face.
I know. Yeah, just wish he comes back on board.
So why don't we do this? If El-Haj, Professor Abubakar Bahuru is on, he can speak, and if Mr. Ngege comes back on, we can put in. Is that okay? Professor Bahuru, are you on? Abubakar Bahuru? I can see you're on, but you're muted. Can you speak now? It looks like we've lost Mr. Ngenge. Mr. Abubakar Bahuru?
Or maybe in the meantime, if we have our artist, if she's ready.
Are you getting me now?
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yes, we're getting you now.
Oh, I'm sorry,
okay.
sorry for the technical hitch. I was therefore saying that I'll simply be
so much.
talking
So
about
while
the
it's okay, Mr.
practicalization
Ngenge is
of
back on. Just hold on a
how
minute.
these theoretical, academic, and concepts had previously been carried out within the Nkambe Plateau with some very positive results. I think that's what my topic is. Are we together?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So by saying that all of us are coming from a background of a conflict, and when we talk of conflict, it means, like Amilcar Cabral defined it, that it is competition at an acute angle. So that's the reason why we, within the framework of human rights, we often carry out something they call monitoring, documentation, and reporting, so that we should know the nature of that conflict in order to come out with a strategy to prevent it or to protect if it is already on, or better still, seek redress like we are now doing. And most of the redress, I would like the strategy that we have adopted, is practical. And that's the framework within which I propose social integration. And like Professor Mushi said, we're talking up here about community. You see, marginal social disintegration happens when they marginalize. That's when when some group of people, I don't want to call them marginalized, when some group of people are mainstreamed, calling names, settlers, this and that. I think we have been living on this plateau for a very long time. And that's the reason why I think no matter who came first, for more than 100 years, since 1920, something like Dr. Budi said, we can see that we have stayed together even more than some of our real twin brothers have stayed together. That's the reason why I see ourselves more like brothers. And within that framework, we've carried out some kind of practical examples, or better still, exercises within the Nkambe Plateau that has helped to fuse the kind of community coping mechanism that you find in the Nkambe area, in Misije, in Mbot, and you can find it also right up to about the Binshwa area. Because we came and we realized, as far as 1994, like I indicated, that Nkambe had a problem of farmer-grazier conflict. It was not intentional, but because of that competition over issues like land, productivity, agriculture, even livestock, everyone needed to survive, even housing, settlements, and all of that. But they didn't come up with a background of being experts in those areas. They were just seeking to survive in the same space where God, by his omnipotent wisdom, has put them together. So as a result, somehow they clash. When they clash, they didn't plan to clash. It becomes difficult to find a way out. Now, that's the reason why we came up identifying what were the main problems causing some of the clashes. And we realized that the land which was reserved either for agriculture or for livestock became increasingly small with the increase of agricultural demand for land, or increase of cattle and population of the Mbororos, who equally needed more land for grazing. Okay, am I back?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. So I was therefore saying that as a result, we identified that we had problems, firstly, with environmental degradation. Because of environmental degradation, you know, the Tonga Mountain Plateau has a kind of lateritic and the topography with a lot of hills, and with increasing rainfalls and those kind of harsh harmattan, there's been a depletion of grazing land. And as a result, some cattle seem to, or have to, sometimes cross their borders and then enter into some farmlands during some periods unintentionally. And we decided on that basis that we can promote rangeland management. That is, we got some Brecaria, we got Guatemala, and I want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency Honorable Shea Jones Yembe, because he helped us a lot by giving us seeds, bags of seeds of Brecaria, and we flushed them over so many hills in the Nkambe Plateau and so many of those areas. And still with him, he helped to to sponsor some best practices whereby we had to go and build cattle troughs in some, that's drinking troughs, in some Mbororo communities, so that the cattle don't need to lack water during the dry season and go straying into some farms. Also, we realized that there was a problem whereby some cattle also sometimes will stray into water catchment, watersheds. And there too, we had to encourage people to build an fence. And moreover, it was important to protect those, not only to protect the cattle, the watersheds and water catchment area, water sources, but to bring the people together so that they should know that it was their common source of livelihood. In the same light, we encouraged a lot of community work related to educational promotion for both the Mbororos and the natives, let me say the Mbum. And how was this done? We always promote some kind of environmental management quizzes and activities in school. And they're like in PSS in Cambe, for instance, you see a lot of Mbororo girls coming up with programs or better still scripts about Mbum culture. That's to tell you that so far they have been undergoing some form of unintentional social integration, whereby they already feel Mbum. Just like you find a lot of Mbum children having Mbororo names and speaking the Mbororo language. So I think that there are a lot of positive things that we can practically do in order to improve on this cross-cultural teamwork. And especially, I don't want to enumerate all because a lot of it has already been exposed on. So I'm just talking practically, because if we do not reduce them into such exercises where interpersonal relationships are improved and we remain too theoretical, we realize that it will still be talks about talks. So I want to thank you. I don't want to talk much because I think I have the transcript to share with us, and we'll be able to look at it and see what can work, especially in our context. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ngenge. Elhaj Abubakar Bawuru, are you on now? This is your turn. Elhaj Bawuru?
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me this golden opportunity to share my thoughts on how we can better build.
Sapi, I think you've muted him again, so can you just unmute him?
Oh.
Yeah, and can you please, if you're not speaking, participants, please mute yourself so that we can hear the speakers.
Did I mute him? Then he can unmute.
He's still muted.
He can. Maybe before. Did you think that before he comes on board, we can have a musical interlude just to distress a little bit? Is that something you like us to do right away?
No.
I think we have one.
Okay.
The joint speaker had told me, so I thought we should finish him speaking.
Yeah,
let him speak. Yeah. Please
that's
go
right.
ahead now. He's still muted again. Okay, go ahead.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, I was saying that I really appreciate the initiative of bringing us together and brainstorm on how we can better advise our people down there to be peaceful in a more sustainable manner. And actually, people like Dr. Richard have said everything, my mentor, I'm proud of it, and Professor Muchi and others. I'm not sure I have any other new elements to showcase, but the fact that I have been given the privilege, I think I will only, put up more flesh to the first speakers. And here I'm looking at an action-oriented strategy to enhance peace in the division, Dongaman-Torilin. And one of the ways I think is to identify and enhance stakeholders understanding of inter-community conflict in the division. I'm thinking about strengthening community-based approach, which is aimed to ensure the solutions arrived at are relevant to the context and specific situation of the target communities. This analysis should also capture the perceptions and suggestions of key stakeholders, which are leveraged to enhance the strategy. The results of the analysis should be presented to the stakeholders for validation. The second idea I'm thinking about, which is action-oriented also, is to strengthen the capacity of peace actors in conflict analysis, dialogue, and violent conflict management. This approach is based on the understanding that peace building is most effective and sustainable when driven by community-level actors. To achieve this, there is need to identify community-level peace actors and strengthen their capacity to analyze conflicts, stimulate and facilitate dialogue and management, and manage inter-community conflicts. We're also thinking about accompanying the affected communities to engage in peace building, to provide guidance and logistical support to conflicting communities, to organize intra-community as well as inter-community dialogue meetings. The intra-community meetings should be held separately for the Mbororo people, for example, and the Mbum community in separately, and serve as preparation for the inter-community dialogue meetings. The second meeting should join both communities to share issues that concern them and come out with solutions for themselves and by themselves. And also, we're thinking about to assist the community to design and implement early warning and conflict prevention mechanisms, while assisting them or assisting the communities to deal with existing conflicts. We should also emphasize the need for communities to be able to detect early signs of conflict and prevent emerging conflicts from escalating. To achieve this, the target communities should be accompanied to design and implement early warning and conflict prevention mechanisms. The design and implementation of these mechanisms should be led by trained facilitators. People have talked much about organizing cultural events that will showcase peace building, mutual respect, and understanding of different cultural and regional differences. We also think about revamping existing dialogue platform committees that were initiated some time ago by Mboscoda in some of these communities. We should implement where it is applicable and identify and train new dialogue platform committees that should be inclusive, who sit together and share problems that they face. Also to reduce the gap of communication between these two communities. Because as is earlier said, the lack of or limited communication is also contributing to some of these problems. So if we can create an environment of regular communication between the people, I think that it will go a long way to establish a sustainable peace and development in Donga Mountain Division in general. Thank you. This is the small thing that I have. As I earlier said, people have already spoken much about it. I think I don't have to spend much time. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Bauru. We're going to have an interlude where Mr. Tamfu is going to introduce, I guess, a musician for us. But before we go on, since we're talking about creating new relationships and building bridges and increasing our communication, just like Mr. Bauru mentioned that Dr. Ndi and Professor Mushing are his mentors. I would just like, maybe he can share a little bit about their relationship before we go on to the break, just to, you know, break the monotone of speaking and all of that. I just wanted to share, like, how are you connected to Professor Ndi and Dr. Ndi and Professor Moshi? Can you just add 1 minute and tell us that relationship?
Okay. So, I want to talk precisely to Dr. Ndi Richard. For Professor Mushin, I'm just hearing about it. I don't know him. The mentor I'm talking about is Dr. Richard, who
You're muted again. Abubakar Bauru is muted again. Okay, you can speak now.
Okay, am I back now?
Yes.
I was talking about Dr. Ndi Richard as my mentor. Though Professor Mushi, I just hear about him, but the real mentor to me is Dr. Richard Ndi. When I was working for Moscoda at a regional level in the Northwest, Dr. Ndi is one of the resource persons that Moscoda hired regularly to come and build capacity from Moscoda staff in their interventions within the region in various capacities in various domains. He has been doing this for long, and specifically, he has been calling and advising me on how to better intervene in my own capacity of the agro-pastoral officer then for Moscoda. So this has been for some while. So I think that he has really imparted very reasonable knowledge in me, and not only me, so many of the Mbororo youths who were working with Moscoda then, we all see and value him as our mentor who always show us, this is how you relate, this is how you do, this is how you understand the cultures and traditions of different people and how you can intervene successfully without any problem. And that is how we work it. We did so many projects in Donga Mountain and other divisions. For example, the water project that we have implemented in Donga Mountain around Binshua, around B, around Kam, around and of the concept, this is only one out of many. The same in other divisions. So I think he has really helped us to grow and build a better relationship and deliver the activities that we are assigned to do by projects that are